All right. Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good to be here, kicking off this kind of live jam series that I'm going to get into here. Wanted to give a little shout out to my good friend Maurice, who requested that we take a look at this particular bathtub gin. Thank you, Maurice. Hope you're joining in. Hope you guys enjoy this. And I'm just going to be kind of figuring out the flow of this and hopefully you get something out of it. So there's a couple things that I think are the main objective from my standpoint, and I'm always looking for your feedback, but I'm going to share kind of the main riff at the end before the jam. That's one thing I think would be fun for everybody to learn how to play. And then I'm going to kind of talk about some different areas you could hit on to get some of the vibe that Trey tends to get into for this jam. And then I have three different phrases that I tabbed out that really stood out to me. I mean, there were so many different ones I could have chosen, but I didn't want to do the whole thing. I want to keep this manageable. And so I have a few to share with you guys. But before I get into that stuff, let me kind of do it like this. I'm going to first share the main riff here, and then we'll kind of springboard from there. As the session is going, don't hold your questions if you have anything or statements or whatever. There's always a lag and a delay, so just fire away and I'll try to keep up with them as they come, if they come. Otherwise, this will just be like a standalone lesson you can enjoy if you check this out after the stream. So all good. Couple other little things in the chat. I'm going to drop a link. Let me see. Let me know if you guys get this. That's a Dropbox folder where I put the PDF for the whole song. So if you want to learn the whole tune with the chords and everything, it's in there. Not the Hampton one, that's the studio version, but could be kind of cool to check out if you haven't learned the whole song. And then also in that folder, you'll see the three licks that I tabbed out, and there's examples as well. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot to say, huge shout out to Rip over at Playin with the Band. He is collaborating with me here and prepared a jam track for this very gin. So if you want to grab that, there's a link in the description of this video to his YouTube channel. Go over there, give him a like, subscribe to his channel, all that. I know Rip personally. He is the best guy, just the best guy ever, and he's doing amazing work over at Playin with the Band. So check that out if you haven't already. Okay, let's get right into it here. Let me go close up and just kind of get things kicked off, launching into the jam. In this particular version, Trey does this really cool thing that's a little different than what he does on like the studio version. So I'll just kind of play it and then slow it down to explain it. Now, one thing that's kind of cool and a little different is he throws in this extra minor third in here. So let me do that really slowly. We're on the 8th fret of high E, 8th fret of B. Now right here he jumps to the 8th fret of the G string, then slides up into 6 of B, back to 8 of G. And then we end on the flat 7, which is a B flat on the 8th fret of the D string. Let me just play that without talking. I'll go really slowly. I totally just messed that up, so I'm going to do it again. And okay, now from here for the chord change, we go like this. And then you lock back into the original line. Right on, and that's going to launch us into the stuff we're going to get into now. So at least you'll have that you can reference if you want in this video later on. I'm going to leave these streams up. So right on. Okay, now the way I want to set this up is just kind of explain the area or the areas that Trey seems to be working out of and kind of the vibe. So I would say that this has a really heavy emphasis on the Mixolydian mode, and it has a flat 7 in it. But then there's another thing that Trey throws in here, which is the minor third, and it just gives it a little extra kind of attitude and a little extra flavor that you wouldn't have without throwing that in there. So I'm going to share a couple graphics here. Let me pull these up. So the red dots are going to represent the Mixolydian notes, and then the blue dots are the minor thirds. So if you look over here at the one I call Area 1, oh, and by the way, this kind of approach here, and let me go close up with the guitar, this approach is something that I really, for anybody that's worked with me before or heard me talk about anything like this before, you probably know that I really recommend coming from whatever you're doing, whether it be a scale, an arpeggio, whatever the case is, knowing how to hit that thing from 3 different angles. The thing that I'm calling Area 1 here really represents things that are to the left, and I'm pointing to what looks like your right, but if you hold your guitar, it's to your left. You want to be able to hit things to the left of your tonic, over the tonic, and to the right of the tonic. So the one that's called Area 1 is hitting on stuff to the left. Area 2 is right over top the tonic, and I'll explain more as we go. Area 3 is to the right of it. And also you could think of it as more of fingerings you might use. So pinky finger is Area 1, middle finger starting is Area 2, and then index is Area 3. And you can probably see just from what I did right there that if I start with my pinky, it follows that I have access to this part of the fretboard. If I start with the middle, I've shifted over and I'm really positioned well to be efficient over here. And the reason I'm starting here is this is a C, and we're doing C Mixolydian, and then index finger here opens up this side of the guitar. And really what I mean is these are going to be 3 versions of the same thing. So here is what I mean. I'm going to do Mixolydian first, so I'm not going to play the blue dots first, and then I'll add them in. So if you start with your pinky, it would go like this. This is Area 1. But like I said, Trey is definitely adding in I hear a low or a flat E string. He's adding a lot of minor thirds in. So I'm going to do that as well. So we've got our tonic there. That's C. We go up. That's the second. Here's a minor third. And already going up to the major third, that's a great little bit you can play around with. Okay, but carrying on from there, we've got these first few, and then we go right up to the 4th. So you can see we've pretty much drawn a chromatic line from the 2nd degree to the 4th. And that's where you can get some of that kind of real Jerry, kind of chromatic stuff. Or in this case, this kind of funky, bathtub gin sound. Moving on, we go to the 5th fret of the D string. This is the 5th, the 6th, the flat 7. Now we're back to C. That's our root. 2nd, minor 3rd, major 3rd. And in that main riff that I was just playing a second ago, that's a lot of the stuff he's doing. Stuff around there. So again, from C, there's the root, the 2nd, minor 3rd, major 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, flat 7, and then we can take it back the other way. And in a minute, I've got a loop with this kind of Bathtub Gin vibe on it. I'll put that on and kind of talk through some of that. And actually, what am I talking about? I'll do it right now. So this area 1, I'm going to have stuff based around with my pinky finger on the 8th fret. More on that later, because the first lick that I transcribed will be kind of coming from that zone. All right, moving on to area 2. Now we've got middle finger on 8th fret of the E string, and we're going to do all the same stuff, just it'll have a different approach because the fingering's different. So we'll go root here, 2nd, minor 3rd. You could put the minor 3rd here as well and go, or either way. That's the major 3rd, going to the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7, flat 7 I should say, back to the root, 2nd, minor 3rd, major 3rd I'm going to shift up, then we're going to go to the 4th, 5th, 6th, flat 7, the root again, then you've got another 2nd you can hit, and a minor 3rd, then the other way. Shift down there. And then if I were to jam over that area, it would be stuff like. So really fun stuff, but it's kind of different than the approach you would have here, and just inspires you to play a little differently. So that's, I think, the best thing about it. Okay, let's hit this last area and then we'll get into the actual jam. So for this one, I'm going to do the same kind of stuff, but I'm going to start with the index finger on my root, C, right here. I'm going to go root, 2nd, minor 3rd, major 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, flat 7. We've got the root again, 2nd, minor 3rd, major 3rd, 4th, 5th. Now I would shift up here to the 6th, flat 7. And then you've got your root here. And I actually forgot to put the, there's another 2nd you can put on the 10th fret. And then minor 3rd, and then take it back. Shift down. And one thing about this zone right here, I know some of that may look kind of stretched out and maybe not that comfortable, but there are all kinds of things you can do with this. One lick that Trey does a ton in this kind of area would be, one that comes to mind is when he does an ester. That lick. Is so awesome, and that's playing off of this kind of area I'm talking about right here. But also you can use it as doing more sliding kind of pentatonic stuff. So I'll use it in both ways a little bit. So hopefully that gives you a couple things to play around with if you do go to practice over this and jam over it. I'm going to get rid of these graphics for a second, and we'll move along. Okay, right on. And by the way, like I said, if you guys are hanging out, leave any kind of suggestion for another jam you'd like to see covered. Leave them here. I'll check the comments here and reference this. I've been keeping a list. I've got a great kind of lineup of maybe the next 5 weeks or so already panned out. We've got like a Prague Ghost. We've got we got a Possum in there. I think maybe a You Enjoy Myself. So there's a cool lineup coming up. And I just want to do stuff you want to hear. So if you have an idea of something you'd like to see broken down a little bit, leave it below. But why don't we do this? I'm going to play a little bit of the jam. And I'm going to, before sharing the 3 licks that I transcribed, I'm just going to talk through the kinds of things that I hear Trey doing, just kind of like flowing with it. And stop me if you hear something you want me to break down or whatever, but I'm just going to go through a little bit. I don't know if I'll play the whole jam. It's kind of long. And then I'll share these licks, and then we'll take it from there. But first things first, when I play this, let me know if this comes out. I'm hoping all of this works out with the audio and stuff, but let me know if you can't hear the track. But I've got it queued up. In fact, you know what? I'm going to share this. This app is called the Amazing Slowdowner. And I've talked about it a little bit before on the channel, and it's an amazing app for isolating different areas that you want to loop. And so I'm going to go, and the other thing is you can save different sections. So these are the 3 licks that I'm going to share with you guys, and you can do a bunch. So here's the jam. Let me know if you guys can hear this. Okay, I want to pause it there for a sec and come back here. Do you guys hear how, okay, audio is good. Very cool. Do you guys hear how he's taking that main theme and just kind of jumbling it up and using it as material to get his jam going? I think that's a great takeaway for all of us, is that sometimes I know I do this, and I've heard it from others. We can put a certain kind of pressure on ourselves when improvising to always feel like we're inventing something new or coming up with this new thing. And you will have moments like that where you catch lightning in a bottle, but a lot of times it's taking something that you already know and then kind of just, jazz it up a little bit. I think that's kind of where jazz came from, or, improvisational music in general, is taking a melody and then just kind of reworking it and just kind of displacing the rhythm a little bit. So like if I'm going to go close up, and if I take this jam that I have, and instead of, think of the main riff. So let's take that, and then maybe we just jumble it up. So hopefully you kind of get what I'm saying there. You just take it, don't overthink it, just jumble it up, kind of break it apart, put it back together. And the cool thing is you kind of can't go wrong, just have fun with it. But let's get back to the jam and listen to a little more. Where did that go? Here we go. It should just kind of pick up where I left off, hopefully. And it didn't. So I saw it was at 5:36. We'll go ahead. Do you guys hear how he's doing that same kind of stuff where he's kind of hitting on the theme, but not 100%? It's just a little varied. And then there will be little things. Let me go back here. Little things that he'll do that are he's kind of like theme building, like there's a lot of stuff where, like, if he's in that area 1 I was describing, a lot of this kind of, and I find that a lot of times he's throwing in that second as well, although my string sounded out of tune. So if you think about it, the reason that that ninth or the second sounds so good with stuff that has the flat 7 in it is because the flat 7's major third, if you were to harmonize that, it would be this note D right here. And so it's just like, it really works in the basket of sounds we're playing around with here. And so it's a lot of stuff where he's kind of right on. Okay, let's continue on with the jam. Let's see, where were we? 6:11. Here we go. That, by the way, is one of the licks I'm going to share in a minute, but also listen to how crazy Mike's bass lines are. They're so good here. Right on. I'm going to pause that and unshare this. Okay, now let's get into that lick that was just played. So let me share this here. And again, shout out to Rip, who shared a bunch of stuff with me from playing with the band tracks. Make sure you check out the description, give his channel a follow, and he's just the best. So let me see here. Where on earth did I put these examples? Let me see here. Here we go. Okay, here's what this line's going to sound like isolated with a metronome, so we can really clearly hear it. Oh shoot. Hold on. Let me turn this thing up. I'm juggling all these controls. Let me pause that. So there's so many things I love about this. Let me actually show you guys on the guitar how this goes. So he starts out with this almost kind of like Allman Brothers type thing. Okay, now that right there alone was so cool. Let me repeat that again. So starting on 5 of the B string, if you can like kind of picture what chord shape this is coming from. I always kind of think of this area, I was calling it area 1, is like a G, like a classic G chord shape. If you're thinking of Cage, like that. And look at how the index is barred, and that's the kind of zone he's working from. So again. Now here's that same thing, maybe a little more up to tempo. It's just so good. But hopefully, hopefully you're seeing how he's throwing in those minor thirds. I like most of it is really major pentatonic / mixolydian, but that minor third in there, it just gives it that classic kind of, I guess it's, that Gershwin sound that he's getting this from. But let me do that again, and then I'm going to move on to the second half of this. So again. Oops. Here it is, minor third. Okay, now part of why I wanted to share this was because of that kind of end sequence. It's just insane to me. So I'm going to go from the second to last measure, and it starts on 10th fret. Okay, so that's the first kind of interesting thing, and that I'm really emphasizing that minor third. It's much more subdued the way he does it. It goes by really fast, but again, it just gives it that kind of extra attitude with that minor third in there. So again, from 10th fret. Now slide up into the major third. Now this part's insane. He goes like this. Okay, there's two notes in particular that really stand out to me that make that really exciting, and it's when he does this slide into the third, goes to the root, back to the third, but then he does a raised fourth right here, which is so cool. Then this chromatic run up like that, and then he does a major seventh into the root. So I want to pause for a second and make a point that I think I know that I need to remind myself of sometimes, and it's that if we were just looking at that under the microscope of strictly mixolydian, a couple of those notes would be wrong. They would be outside, and I feel like I just said this in another video recently, but I'll say it again. It's one of my favorite things about Trey is that it doesn't really matter that those notes aren't inside of the exact vibe that's happening. In fact, it's kind of better that, I don't want to say better, but it works really well that they're not inside that framework. It creates this excitement, this tension, and then this release when he comes back to the tonic. He goes back to that C, and it makes it more effective. It's kind of like when you stay away from home for a while, maybe you're on a vacation for a couple of weeks, or on a trip somewhere, that feeling of just like plopping down in your bed for the first time after a long trip. That's kind of what outside notes can do for you when you hit your root note of the chord or the scale you're playing. So anyway, there's that element, and then the other thing is, again, take some pressure off yourself of playing the right notes all the time. I think sometimes we can get caught up in that, like I can't play wrong notes or whatever, and turns out wrong notes are really cool. Now of course he's Trey, so we've got some work to do a lot of times to make it work, but oftentimes it's not the note, it's where do you go right after, or how long do you hold that outside note. So just stuff to think about. Okay, now let me go back to the recording. I'm going to play the next minute or so, and then I'll pause it when we get to the next lick that I wanted to share with you guys. So I'm going to go close up again. I'm going to share this slow downer again. Give me a sec. Here we go. Okay, cool. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to pause it there because the second lick I want to share just passed by. But again, listen to what Gordon's doing on that bass. It's crazy, the stuff he's coming up with as well. So I'm going to unshare this for a sec. We'll go back, and here is this second phrase. I'm going to play it again so you guys can hear it isolated with the metronome, and then we'll kind of break it down from there. Okay, here we go. Okay, awesome. Okay, there's a couple things I really love about this part as well. Okay, this first zone he's coming from, this is kind of like, some of you guys may have seen this called like the House of Blues or like the Blues Box. You know, that sort of thing. And that's the vibe to start out. He goes 10, 10. Although the rhythm's a little different. It's like... And then he changes positions. And part of the reason I wanted to share this part was because of the emphasis on these really simple chord shapes. We've got this classic, I think of it as just the F shape, like down here. He hits it down while he's playing over the C. And then he starts it, instead of from the root of it, from the third. Okay, then he switches to this. It feels more like a minor pentatonic lick, even though it's still in the Mixolydian kind of framework we've been doing. It does have that feeling like you're in C minor pentatonic. But let me pick up, let me see here. I'll just start over. So from 10. Okay, then he just doubles the notes on this form. And then you can hear him move up higher. And then what he's doing is he's still playing off of this simple triad form, except he's playing it with his middle finger, and it's going to have more of this form. And later in the jam, he kind of gets into, almost like in David Bowie, some of that kind of shredding stuff. It's not quite as aggressive, but you can see it's just a simple form like that. So when you see on the second line, I've got the 13th fret with the second finger. And the reason I put that second finger there is so that you can kind of reset your shape, and taking it from there, 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Okay, now he hits this F. Then he hits, on the first note of the bottom line, he hits the 12th fret. Then he slides up and then resets with the same form we've been doing, but now it's for an F chord. And then he resolves to a C chord, but it's in this kind of D shape. So I guess the main point I wanted to get across with this one is, a lot of times the stuff that's happening is pretty simple. It's not that it's a complicated or an exotic scale or something like that. It's just, you can tell there's all this legwork that Trey's done to be able to flow like that. And it doesn't matter to him, it doesn't seem at all, what the shape is or anything. He can go from, you know, this form of a C, this form of a C, this form, or this form with equal ease, and many others, obviously. But just goes to show that if you get a couple really simple things down, you can do so much with it, especially if you have interesting rhythms, which I haven't even really touched on that. But if you really take a second to look at these rhythms here, look at these dotted eighth notes and eighth rests and, all this stuff that really syncopates things. Definitely stuff to play around with. And so, yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed that lick. I'm going to play the jam again and play another minute and share one more lick. And then I'll just open it up. And again, if you guys have any questions or comments or anything like that, I'd love to hear from you. But let's get rid of this and let's go back to our slowdowner and let's see where we're at. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. That is, I just kind of looped this section. Let me see if I can play it again for you guys. I just think that is such a slick little part he's playing there. So let me get rid of this again, and let's take a look and listen to that last lick. Because the reason I shared this one is I think this one kind of encapsulates more of that combination or that mixture of Mixolydian and kind of minor elements, almost like minor pentatonic stuff. So this one here, let me play it isolated, and then we'll check it out. So good. Okay, let me walk you through that. So we're starting again in this 10th fret area right over here, and it goes like this. It's just so good. And it's like, it's one thing for me to sit here and share that with you and learn it and say, oh, it's simple stuff. But the fact is, like, the reason Trey is just so special is he's coming up with this on the fly, and it's just really inspirational because it's so good. All right, it really, the part that really is striking to me is the last measure of that top line with the pull off and the bend in there. I just love that so much. Let me count it as I play it and talk you through it again. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 and 2, 3 and a 4, and 1, 2. I was just looking at a comment. I'll do that again. Brian is saying, "What's up, Brian? Good to see you, man. Can hear some callback to the main riff in there. Oh yeah, totally, man. And that's the thing, getting that riff down or any main melody of a tune in your jam, it gives you stuff to play with like endlessly. So yeah, good catch there. Let me do that again because I I got distracted by the comment. 1 and 2 and 3 and let me go again. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4. 1, 2 and 3 and okay, this second measure, third measure of the top line, I want to share that part. It starts on beat 3, so it's 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 and a... It almost has like a wipeout thing at the end. And it's funny how some of these little things probably are just in our subconscious, and we just pull them out. And it's kind of like a word that just kind of comes out, and you're like, shoot, where'd that come from? But it has that wipeout. So this lick, though, again, it gets into the more into that minor pentatonic feel. And again, I know he doesn't play the minor third per se right there, but the way your hand is positioned, you would kind of be inclined to do some stuff like that, and that's kind of the vibe he brings to it. But then he locks back into, he has this lick on the bottom line where we're coming from the bend. And then he just resolves it back to that same old form we've been playing around with. And yeah, it's like he can go for days with that stuff. Cool. Okay, let me get rid of that. And yeah, so, to kind of sum everything up so far, and I put all three of those licks and those fretboard charts, like let me show that again, like these kind of dot charts. Those are all on a worksheet that's in the description. So if you want to grab that and practice along and use it maybe as a guide for your own jam, go right ahead. Again, Rip over at Playin with the Band has this very gin. He posted it today, and I think he's got a couple different versions, maybe like just Trey isolated, so you can study that, which is really fun to hear. Just all the little nuances, like the little slides he does, and is he pulling off? Is he, all these kind of different things, the bends that he's doing. So definitely check that out. But the main vibe, though, is Mixolydian, and I feel bad. I shouldn't assume that everybody knows Mixolydian. In case you don't know what that is just it's think of it like the major scale, but with a flat 7. And all you have to do is you just count up. If you have a form of the major scale you like, a lot of us probably learn like the middle finger. So just count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then instead of playing the major 7th, you just play a flat 7. That is Mixolydian in a nutshell. But it doesn't really say everything about it. It's got this this vibe to it that I always think is a little rebellious, and it's kind of it's the heart of like blues and jazz and jammy music for sure. But the thing that sets this one apart than some other songs that have a Mixolydian flavor is it's just that minor third being thrown in. And really you can think of it as a combination of like minor pentatonic plus Mixolydian. That could be a cool way to do it. Or Mixolydian plus the minor third. The way that you get there is important. Well, I guess it's important to all of us, but I mean to say there are different paths to take to get to that sound. You don't have to do it the way I'm describing. You could have another way you want to think of that. Like I guess you could kind of think of it as like minor pentatonic and major pentatonic blended together, and you're just kind of choosing when you hit certain tones. But right on. Yeah, okay. So I don't see any questions, but I'm going to hang out for another minute. If you guys have anything you want to riff on or talk about, I'll hang out. And I so appreciate you guys hanging out. There's like a dozen of you guys hanging out, man. I really appreciate it. Your time is valuable, and I sure do love sharing this stuff with people that enjoy it, I think, as much as me. So thank you for hanging, and let me drop a link. I got to do a shameless plug here for my course. I'm going to drop a link in there, and I'm doing a special. If you sign up for the trial and hang out and join, I'm going to throw in a free private lesson. So I'll put that in. I'm only going to do that for people that sign up today for this live stream. So I'm going to drop that in if you want it. No pressure, as always. Let me see. Here you go. So yeah, if you guys click that link, you can visit it. I do want to say another thing. This ties into that. The way that I set up those 3 areas. Let me go close up. I want to make a point. This came up in a Q&A session recently. Actually, it's come up a couple times where let's say I'm sharing that approach where you have the 3 different fingerings. Oh, hey, what's up, man? The program I was using is called the Amazing Slowdowner, And I think you can just get it like in the App Store, and I'm pretty sure it's available both for what do you call it, Android and Apple. And I love it. But I will say this: if you let me go back to having a head. If you do get the app, I recommend getting the one like on an iPad. It's way better. The one I was just sharing with you guys because I'm on a desktop computer. That version has a couple drawbacks. The first of which is it's limited in how many loops you can save. I think you can save like 10 of them or something. Whereas the iPad one is unlimited. The other thing is it's way more expensive on the desktop. I think when I got it a few years ago, it was like $50 or something, which isn't bad, but it's limited. It's got less features than the iPad one, which I think is like $15. So I highly recommend it. Oh, thank you, Brian. Appreciate you too, man. So I highly recommend the Amazing Slowdowner. And I almost thought about for this stream, I didn't end up doing it, but maybe I'll do it next time. I thought about kind of sharing the process of transcribing. So like sharing the lick slowdown and then sharing the software where I write it out and tab it. So if that would be valuable to you guys, let me know. I'm happy to do that. It's kind of fun to share that stuff. So you can see how the transcriptions get made and stuff. Yeah, right on. Okay, now let me get to this point I wanted to make about the three different areas. Okay, so let's say you've got your pinky finger here and you're doing the Mixolydian mode like that. And then I was saying, okay, it allows you to hit this area of the fretboard. If you use your middle finger, now we're over top. And then with the index finger, then you can go right here. And what we've done now is we've taken our range from the 5th fret to the 13th fret. So, okay, cool. Yeah, I can do that. Right on. Okay, so that range that I just laid out with the three areas gets you from the 5th fret to the 13th fret. And okay, so this is what came up in the Q&A. So the student was like, okay, that's all well and good and that's nice, but what about the rest of the guitar that you're not hitting on? And it was a really good question. And so the thing is, if we think about it, if we're playing C Mixolydian, let me go back. If we're playing C Mixolydian, what key are we actually playing in? Like, what major key is that? And the way you get there is you say to yourself, okay, Mixolydian is the 5th of the key that I'm playing in. And if we're playing C Mixolydian, we just have to ask ourselves, okay, in which key is C the 5th? And then if you just go backwards, you can kind of reverse engineer it, and you'll eventually figure out that you're in the key of F, F major. And so now with that in mind, let me go back and kind of show you how this concept fills in the gaps. So if we go down here to the 1st fret, well, we can't do the fingering with the pinky finger because there's nothing there. And the one with the middle finger, you could do that. And and use open strings, like you totally could. But if I start with my index finger version, because every scale or every arpeggio I always think of as having 3 fingerings, pinky, middle, index. Well, if I approach it like that, and I play the F major scale, that's my home key for this Mixolydian vibe we're doing, then you would have... And so because of that, just knowing that that's the major scale we're playing from, then we can connect the entire fretboard. Because the only area, literally, that we didn't cover in the 3 areas that I just shared tonight was this area down here. But if you think of your home key, because nothing exists in a vacuum. There's a saying, I think I said it last time, I'm going to say it again, and I'll probably say it every live stream. All things are in all places at all times, always. Every scale that has ever existed, every chord, everything exists in every area of the guitar. That is one of the unique challenges, and it's one of the unique features and benefits of the guitar versus like a piano. There's only one middle C on the piano. There are multiple Cs, but only one middle C, whereas we have copies of everything. And so while it does seem to complicate things for us, it opens up crazy possibilities. So that's what my whole thing is based on, is making things easier that way, with figuring out the lay, like the lay of the land almost. I call it mapping the terrain. That way you can just play and you can flow, and it's leveraging your practice, leveraging your time. So at any rate, right on. Okay, well, yeah, it looks like it would be helpful to transcribe a lick. Like I'll save one next week. I forget what the one is next week. Shoot, oh, Prague Ghost I think is next week. So I'll save something that I'll do live. I'll just try to transcribe it live and share the process with you guys, and hopefully that allows you to do the same thing. I want to help you guys be able to figure this stuff out on your own and be empowered to write your own stuff out, and it's kind of fun. So I'll look forward to sharing that. And right on. Thanks again to Maurice for the suggestion for this bathtub gin. Hopefully I answered some of the questions you had. Thanks to Rip over at Playin with the Band. Please go check his stuff out. He's got great tracks over there. And thanks to all you guys for hanging out. There's 20 of you guys hanging out with me, and blows my mind. It's really it's the best. I wish I could actually see you guys so I know who I'm talking to, but I appreciate you guys nonetheless. I'm going to leave the lesson up. Hope you get something out of it, and check in next week, 8 p.m. We'll do a little Prague Ghost. I've got my hands full. I got a little challenge in store, but I'm looking forward to it, and I'll see you guys then. Thanks.